To give you a very brief bit of background to Back from the Brink, so as I'm sure many of you will be aware, in 2013 and 2016, the State of Nature reports came out highlighting some significant losses in our biodiversity. Out of all the species studied, we've shown that over 56% of species studied have been in decline since the 1970s. England was shown to be one of the most nature-depleted countries in the world, having lost more biodiversity than the global average. On the back of this, quite upsetting information, Back from the Brink was developed. It's aimed to save some of England's most threatened species. It's aimed to have over 100 priority threatened species in a recovering position by 2020. So it's an ambitious project, a partnership between Natural England and Rethink Nature, 7 of the country's leading conservation organisations. And we are funded primarily by the Heritage Lottery Fund, so many thanks if you buy a lottery ticket. And we're also supported by a range of other smaller funders. To give you an idea of where the programme of projects is working, we've got projects operating from the tip of Cornwall all the way up to Northumberland National Park, so no matter where you are in the country, chances are there's a Back from the Brink project that you might be able to get involved with. So there's 19 projects running. 7 of these are what we call our integrated projects that are focused on landscapes and habitats that will be aiming to help a whole range of species recover. And then 12 of the projects are species focused, so single species as a primary focus, but some of these will have secondary species that they'll be benefiting, the grey long-eared bat project being one of them. So to zoom in a little bit and to give you a very brief background about grey long-eared bats, I'm sure most of you are very aware of grey long-eared bats. So they are restricted to the south of the country. They're one of England's most endangered mammals, one of the rarest mammals. The populations are very much restricted to the south coast of the country. Population estimates are about 1,000, according to the latest 2018 mammal review. And the key factors involved with its decline are habitat loss and fragmentation. So for this species, that's obviously connectivity in the landscape, but also its sort of favoured foraging areas, which are species-rich grasslands. And to zoom in a little bit more, my project is focused on the Devon populations. So the green dots that you can see up there are pretty much all of the records we have in Devon. There are a few outliers, but these are the vast majority of the records. Most of these are single bats. And the areas that I'm working in are the BCT purple sustenance zones, 5 kilometres around some of the key roosts, and also along the black line, the least cost path of travel between the roosts. These populations in Devon were chosen for the project because they're deemed to be the most fragmented from the main populations in England, and particularly the one in the very south of the county. So my objectives, primarily it's landowner engagement, encouraging bat-friendly land management, primarily for grey long-eared bats, but also for a wide range of other bats and other biodiversity, but also trying to raise awareness of the importance of bat-friendly land management in terms of all the other different services that it can provide, things like soil, water and nutrient conservation, pollinator services, pest suppression, carbon sequestration, a whole range of other things. Another key part of the project is habitat creation and restoration, trying to encourage more species-rich grassland into the landscape. Population monitoring is another significant part of the project, trying to get as many of the known roosts into NBMP. Community engagement and awareness raising, because it's an HLF project, we want to create a long-lasting legacy of awareness and engagement with this species. One of the key factors about this happening is making sure that people are aware of it. The vast majority of people have never heard of a grey long-eared bat, so it's really important to get the communities where this species is existing to be aware of it. And also volunteer engagement, trying to get as many people coming out, helping out with bat walks, emergent surveys, and a range of other different things. So in terms of landowner engagement, I've engaged with 160 plus landowners to date, covering the sort of three main project areas. So we've got an area in the South Hams, right in the south of the county. There's kind of the middle area, we call it, which has two roosts, one near the River Tyn and one near the Exe, and then a couple of roosts over in East Devon. So those 160 landowners cover an area of about 3,200 hectares. This figure doesn't include some of the bigger landowners that I've engaged with, people like the National Trust and other big estate owners that may not have direct control over their land management. If I included those figures, it would be close to sort of 19,000 hectares. So landowner engagement kind of covers a range of things, mainly workshops and site visits, but also presentations and farm walks. So this can be trying to help farmers with advice and support into countryside stewardship, so trying to help landowners navigate their way through the schemes. Things like hedgerow management. Hedgerow management is a critical part of my advice. Obviously, hedgerows provide that really important connectivity in the landscape, but also really important foraging, so it ticks all the boxes. Grazing management is another thing that I like to talk to farmers and landowners about. Trying to encourage more structural diversity and species diversity within the grassland sward, which is obviously beneficial for insects, more bat food, and also the habitat restoration and creation side of it. So what we're looking at is permanent pasture that may have the opportunity to be overseeded with species-rich seed to encourage that species diversity that will encourage more insects. So the picture at the top middle is fairly species poor, agriculturally improved, structurally poor monoculture essentially. And what we're trying to do is convert sites like that into the site at the top left, so structurally diverse, species rich, great for pollinators, great for a wide range of insects, great for foraging bats. So going to the map, so the green dots are grey long-eared records. The yellow dots are where we've done habitat creation and restoration so far. I like to call it our meadows in transition because it doesn't really happen overnight. It takes quite a long period of time to get these sites established and get them up to a really good quality foraging habitat. And then the red dots are the ones that new sites that we've got coming online this year. So we've got some new landowners that are interested in creating more species-rich grassland. So in terms of population monitoring and volunteer engagement and community engagement, we've had really good success with a range of individuals, so consultant ecologists, bat carers, and also organisations like Devon Biodiversity Record Centre and, of course, the amazing Devon Bat Group have all been really amazing in providing us with new records, helping us to build a better picture of where this species is and what's going on with it. Roost and habitat monitoring, we've trained and engaged over 50 plus volunteers to date, with hopefully more over the next coming months. It's a challenging species to engage with volunteers sometimes because it's a species that doesn't always echolocate, and when it does, it's very quiet, comes out in the dark. So it can be a challenging one to really engage volunteers with. We have our amazing grey long-eared bat champions. So we've got two grey long-eared bat champions that are basically our 5-star A1 volunteers that promoting the grey long-eared project throughout their normal day-to-day life. So in the bottom picture, we've got a picture of Dave from Singing Paddles, who does nature tours by canoe. So he's going out regularly in the evenings doing nature tours with locals and holidaymakers on estuaries. We've given him a load of bat detectors, and he basically does bat walks by canoe. He's regularly promoting the project. And then we have another grey long-eared bat champion who runs his own forest school business that sees hundreds of children through the doors on camps, and every night he goes out on a bat walk and talks about the grey long-eared project. So we've got some really fantastic volunteers helping us out. And then we've taken part in 30-plus community events to date, all the usual types of things: bat walks, farm walks, landowner workshops, talks, back detector training, and articles in a range of different publications. So future plans, we are here until early 2021, so we're continuing to forge on with landowner engagement, trying to get more habitat into really good foraging habitat for the grey long-eared. We've got more grassland restoration sites coming up. On 2 of our key sites, we're doing monitoring with audio moths, thanks to some useful volunteers. We're trying to get some more of our roosts into MBMP, more volunteer engagement, and a couple of key things that I'm working on at the moment is a grey long-eared bat pack for schools. So this will be a pack of information to facilitate teachers and forest school leaders to be able to create more bat-friendly foraging habitat within school grounds, and also raise awareness of the grey long-eared and sort of meadow wildlife. And then I'm also working on a long-eared bat ID guide, which will be aimed at consultant ecologists primarily, working on the sort of periphery of grey long-eared's range, trying to encourage accurate ID from the brown long-eared. So if you feel you have expertise in either long-eared species, would like to contribute, please do get in touch. And that's me just about done. Finished a little bit early, but a bit of final information about the project and the partnership. So, thank you.